Welcome to Study with Dr. Anabia.
Imagine a physical therapy student arriving at a patient's home for a follow-up, only to find the prescribed medical walker shoved into a corner, abandoned. The frame is sturdy and the wheels spin perfectly. There is no mechanical defect, but the tool still failed because it could not integrate into the patient's actual life. To diagnose this, therapists use the PEO model: person, environment, and occupation. Let's apply it. If a patient has limited strength, the person, and thick carpeting, the environment, a heavy walker is exhausting. Add the occupation, standing to cook, and the tool fails. This is the core of ergonomics. Instead of forcing a human to adapt to a poorly matched piece of equipment, we evaluate the system and redesign the tool to fit the human. While physicians typically write the initial prescription for a mobility aid, physical therapists step in as the subject matter experts, or SMEs. They ensure the equipment actually functions for the user. They achieve this through usability testing. This is a systematic process used to evaluate the physical interaction between a person, their environment, and their equipment. Usability testing is rarely a one-time check. It is an iterative process, meaning the therapist repeats specific evaluation steps over and over to improve the safety and effectiveness of the device. The therapist examines the existing design, identifies specific deficiencies causing trouble, and formulates new questions for solutions. Through this constant cycle of testing and adjusting, the therapist bridges the gap between raw engineering design and successful human rehabilitation. That cycle breaks down into 3 distinct steps. Step 1 is product development. Here, the therapist evaluates different design alternatives to select the best starting point for their patient. Humans have a long history of creating diverse walking aids, from simple wooden canes to intricately carved handles. Today's medical equipment offers a similar variety of specialized options. When selecting a device, the therapist looks at primary objectives first. These are the critical safety features: a lightweight frame, adjustable height and width, and overall base stability. Next come the secondary and tertiary objectives. These cover the user's daily experience, like the comfort of the hand grips, how easily the frame folds for storage, and even how attractive the device looks. Balancing all these factors gives the therapist an educated hypothesis. But to know if it actually works, that hypothesis has to be tested. That brings us to step 2, efficacy testing. The chosen device is given to the patient to try out in a controlled clinical environment. The therapist watches closely as the patient actively takes their first steps, providing expert observation and physical support while the patient figures out the mechanics. This data panel shows the objective measures the therapist is tracking. They are looking at hard numbers: how the patient's weight is distributed, if their posture aligns with the height settings, and how the material holds up under a physical load. The therapist also records subjective measures. They ask the patient directly to rate their perceived comfort, their feeling of stability, and whether they feel any pain or strain during the exercise. This chart specifically contrasts the results of a walker with wheels versus one without. Notice how the wheeled version yields better posture and lowers the perceived pain and strain compared to the heavy load of a static frame. Efficacy testing proves whether a design is theoretically functional, but the clinic is a controlled space, free from the obstacles of daily life. To see if the tool truly works, we move to step 3, comparison field testing. The patient takes the device home and uses it in their actual environment for several days. The real world introduces variables a sterile clinic simply cannot replicate. The walker has to navigate tight bathroom hallways, transition from hardwood to thick rugs, and support the patient while they do actual household chores. If the device fails out there, the therapist enters the loop. Taking field feedback, they return to product development and select a new alternative to test. A piece of equipment only earns the title of successful if it can survive that transition from the clinic to the messy, unpredictable reality of the patient's home. Going back to our physical therapy student, by running through this 3-step iterative process, they realized the heavy, static walker was completely wrong for their patient's home. They replaced it with a wheeled version that easily rolled over the carpet and allowed the patient to stand comfortably at the stove. Now, instead of gathering dust in a corner, the tool is rolling smoothly across the living room floor. The patient is mobile, active, and regaining their independence. This exact logic scales up through a concept called macroergonomics. Instead of fitting a single tool to a single patient, macroergonomics applies these rules to broad systems. It involves redesigning entire hospital wings, staff communication workflows, or shift schedules to reduce fatigue and errors across a whole organization. Whether you are adjusting the grip on a single cane or rerouting the workflow of an entire clinical floor, the goal remains exactly the same. As a physical therapist, your expertise in ergonomics ensures that the physical world is built to work for your patients instead of working against them.